Here are your insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre Lebrun, and Darren Dreger. The day after the Hall of Fame ceremony is always time for the GMs to meet with the NHL and get an update. And they also got a little bit of a warning, Pierre.
Yeah, James, a little chat about tampering from NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly to the GMs assembled in the 3.5-hour meeting. And as Bill Daly told me afterwards, more just a refresher that the league has not talked about or emphasized the rules around tampering for a few years now, and he felt it was time. And I asked him, well, why was it time? And he said that he was, quote, a little uncomfortable with some of the commentary that he saw in the media reporting heading into July 1st last year, and gave them the impression that there had been negotiations before July 1st, and he just wanted to remind GMs that you can't do that before July 1st, and there are repercussions in terms of fines and or potential loss of draft picks. So we'll see what impact that conversation from Bill Daly had ahead of next July 1st.
And an item we told you about leading into the GM's meeting was the fact that the league had asked the GM's executive committee to come up with some ideas of tweaks they'd like to see with collective bargaining due to start with the players in the new year. And I think the most interesting among the laundry list of responses they got is the idea of perhaps curtailing contract lengths even further than they are now. You'll recall in 2013, term limits were brought in 7 years if you're signing someone else's player, 8 years for your own player. And there's a desire at the GM level anyways to see that push back even further. And during that 2013 negotiation, the NHL pushed for 5 years. I'm not sure it's a top priority issue for the league itself, but the GM certainly would like it. And when those CBA negotiations start in January, that'll be an interesting one to watch.
Guys, Coach's Challenge, no surprise, was on the agenda. No discussion or debate. Perhaps that also was an NHL strategy. But the NHL general managers were asked to go away and for the remainder of the season leading up to their March meetings, pay attention to other coaches' challenges. Yeah, goalie interference is always that controversial one, but the league wants feedback from the general managers, ideas on the decision-making process of the coaches' challenge. Should it be expanded? Do they need to shrink it? Bring those ideas back to the meetings in March.
Kenny Holland was on hand Monday night to present the Hall of Fame plaque to Pavel Datsyuk. Terrific moment. And Kenny Holland has been presented with a new job, Pierre.
Yeah, signed a one-year deal for the rest of the season with NHL Hockey Ops as a consultant. He's talked to Colin Campbell of the NHL about this possibility since the summer, but of course also was taking calls from teams about a potential advisor role. In the end, I spoke with Ken Holland after the GM's meeting. He said this made the most sense for him right now, is the right fit to go into league hockey ops. And, let's be honest. I mean, Ken Holland has always been super involved with potential rule discussions and changes. He is the brainchild of 3-on-3 overtime. So it's a natural next step for him in the interim to join hockey ops. But he did say it was strange to sit on that side of the room at the NHL GMs meeting after all those years as a GM.
And late last week, the NHL made a bunch of senior internal promotions. Steve Mayer, Keith Wachtel, Steve McCarter, Julie Grand, all got new titles, bump in title, I would say. But it's the why here that I find most interesting. And that's because the league is starting to look ahead a little bit. Gary Bettman being 72 years old, Colin Campbell went into the Hall of Fame, he's 71. The senior leadership of this league has been consistent for so long, and some owners are starting to ask, what's the succession plan? What comes next? And well, the likes of Bettman and Campbell have no firm plans to retire just yet. I do think they want to make sure the senior leadership team is in place going forward so that there is that continuity whenever it comes time for them to step away.
On the ice, Pens get destroyed 7-1 by Dallas. They're second last in the Metro. And where do they go? What do they do, Dregs?
Well, look, let's be honest. Monday was embarrassing for everyone associated with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You're right, 7th in the division, 24th in the National Hockey League. But I can tell you, despite what's being speculated, there is no fire sale. Now, Kyle Dubas, the general manager, did reach out recently to other general managers to say, hey, I'm open for business. If you have any ideas, give me a call. That's standard practice for NHL GMs, especially those who are struggling the way the Penguins are struggling, but there's no sense of panic at this point.
No one's going to feel sorry for them. 3 cups in the last 15 years, but if this continues, it would be tough to watch Sidney Crosby end his career this way in Pittsburgh.